than my computer. Sorry.
So just the sense that there's something really good going on in ourselves, in the universe. It's kind of unfolding. A lot of it, we're just going along for the ride. But then we have a little piece in maybe when we're prompted. Well, this is how I experience when I'm prompted to look within.
Yeah.
That I feel like I can follow that prompt a little bit more, and that's a good thing. Like when I have the experience, and Syd says looking within, my experience of looking within, and after a few seconds, I always feel this kind of settling. Like when I will look within, what I'm seeing is my mind settling in the moment. And it settles and it's nice as he describes it. And then for whatever reason, at some point, I get yanked into some other thought stream. Maybe that's the like using it negatively, but I'm not conscious of like, oh, I'm going to jump into this negative thought now and get all involved. You know, it just it seems like it just kind of happens. But I feel like as time goes on, the direction, the tendency to look within, to see what's in there, to see how beautiful it is and how wise it is. I think over time that does become more or less stronger. And maybe that's also, you know, like when he describes like your level of consciousness changing, you know, it's kind of ripening or something. So I guess in summary, like I heard something really hopeful from Syd.
Yeah.
That sounded really good, felt good.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. It's the same words he's always used, right? There's
right.
no words in that this interview, I don't think, at least anything I've heard, but there's a freshness to it, and it was real like a aliveness at certain points. I really felt like really picked up. It had nothing to do with the words, right? Did you guys feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I love how talking about like Syd, it's great that Syd said, don't listen to my words, right? Because you're absolutely right, Tom, that when he used the words using the principles, most of us interpret that word using as something we do, you know, that we do on purpose.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to use the lawnmower now to mow the lawn. I'm going to use the whatever to do this other thing. So he must be using that word, using the principles, just as a way to explain that they're always operating in us.
Right.
And when we're getting, you know, a negative, bad feeling, it's coming through us through some negative thinking.
Yeah.
What do you think, Alan?
I have a client at 2 here, so I gotta go. You know, this is what I was just thinking about is we used to say in the human resources and human potential movement that awareness is healing, and I don't think we had a clue what that meant really, because what would happen is that people's awareness of their problems would come up in workshops and seminars, and then we'd work on those suckers. But I at a deeper level, I really think awareness, consciousness is healing, like consciousness of when you're in, when you're out.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a, like you say, kind of a grace feeling to it, you know? So yeah, I guess coming around again to awareness is healing, but
oh, that is so cool.
Yeah,
I love that. Right. But when somebody says awareness is healing, we're, you know, exactly. We go into what are we aware of rather than,
awareness.
you know, and like you say, fixing negative or whatever.
Yeah.
As opposed to the way that Syd describes it as just being present. Notice and knowing that it's coming through us. It's not coming at us.
Yeah. Gotta go, you guys. Gotta go.
Great seeing you, Alan. See you next Monday.
Hey, Alan, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Where can I pick up the book?
Oh,
Where
Amazon.
can I pick up the book?
Amazon.
Okay, cool. Go, bye, leave.
Thanks
Thanks so much.
I wish I could stay. Talk to you later. All right.
But
Bye. Yeah. Joe, I'd love to hear, what are your thoughts? And we can go a little more, if a little over 5. I'm okay with that if the rest of you can stay.
I have
I'm
no life,
enjoying
so
this.
it's okay.
What's that, Kevin?
I have no life, so you can go as long as you
That's,
want.
that's all we have is life, right?
Yes.
So Joe, where are you? It looks like you're in the middle of a field.
That is outside my house, but I'm in Suffolk in the UK.
Where are you?
In Suffolk in the UK.
In the
Upington.
UK.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you come through much better when you're next to the microphone like that.
All right. Yeah. Try and get a bit closer.
Yeah, I've seen you on other programs because you look familiar. Maybe
Yeah.
at the 3P UK conference, maybe.
Yeah, I've been to there a few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do the George Prensky, the 10 Discoveries of Syd Banks?
George Pransky was one of the first psychologist who heard SIDS and realized that the ramifications for the field of psychology.
Oh, I was just wondering if you saw me on there. That was all. Yeah, but for me, the first thing you mentioned, lawnmower, it's just when we think we're in control, it's almost like the lawnmower thinks it's controlling the person who's pushing it, isn't it? And
I
But
didn't
if-
quite get that. I have,
I was saying about
No.
you saying about the lawnmower, and that it's just like when we think we can control it, it's like the lawnmower thinks it can control the person who's pushing it. And yeah, it's when it was looking outside, and it's like we feel we've got a lack, that we're missing something, and it's not realizing that we're already whole, aren't we? We don't need to find anything. It's
Yeah.
just that the wanting it is the thing that takes us away from it, really, rather than the letting it be. And it's interesting Kevin mentions about chronic fatigue, because I had that since a child, and I talked to Dr. Pettit about it, Dr. Bill Pettit.
Bill Pettit, sure, absolutely.
And he calls it like a hibernating bear, and it's when you're getting that mental stress. I say it's like a thermostat, really. You know, it shuts you down, and I noticed that when I get into too much stress, it'll shut me back down. And even that's part of mind, the divine, that's bringing you back, and it will bring me back again to that place of peace.
Yeah.
And it's the fighting, though. When I fight, like I got really anxious, and I tried to get rid of that anxiety and fight it, and that was when it shut me down again. And it's that, isn't it? It's not the resistance to it. It's the seeing that we got that the higher self, that guides us there. It's not a little self that does it, really. It's just the little self tries to control, and then it causes more and more stress, and then we have to shut down to. But it's even that's the wisdom, isn't it? Really, because it's protecting you.
Mhm.
It's always to protect you. It's like a parent looking after his child, really, and caring. Yeah, and it's just seeing, really. It's not words or concepts. It's just that feeling, isn't it? That feeling of love. The feeling is the nearest word.
Yeah.
And that's where healing comes, when we let go of our ideas and the concepts of how the world should be, or how we should be, and how everything should be. And I think that's, for me, that's what takes me away, is when I think things should be different to what they are. And that, all the poor me, that was always a big one I had. And that again comes out of the thing of thinking it should be different, isn't it? That I'm the creator of, the little me creates it, rather than the big me, we can call it. And yeah, so, and it's just hearing him saying about awareness raising classes was again the trying to go outside to control, isn't it? And yeah, so we always have to control, because you see that with nature now. We try to control nature, and so yeah, so it's that surrender. I like the word surrender now, because that's what I'm trying to do more and more, and just noticing when the ego stories start about everything, really. I mean, it used to build up stories about everything and cause hurt, and seeing that every encounter, and that is an opportunity to see where I am still stuck in that concept and that ego self, and being grateful. I mean, gratefulness has really helped me. And just when I was grateful that I found the principles, and even when I was in a low level of consciousness, I was still just appreciating, okay, I'm in a low level of consciousness now, that's all it is. I don't really have to do anything, just realize that. And
Nice.
it's when we stop trying, isn't it, to get somewhere else, when we just need to be here now, not because of all these things about raising and trying to be enlightened is something we're trying to get to in the future, rather than just being here now where we are, just talking to people, and even just enjoying people's company and seeing the people beyond our judgments of them and that, isn't it? So yeah. So this is the third time I've seen it as well, and each time I see something different. So.
Oh, how nice. Yeah. You mentioned Dr. Pettit. So have you heard him talk about love letters from the universe?
Yeah,
Like
love
when we
letters from
feel
God, yeah.
stress, I love that. It's so helpful to think of. When we feel stressed, it's a love letter. It's waking you up. It's letting you know, calm down, chill out.
Well, the big one for me was when he talked about the body's alarm systems, and I noticed when I start to get to in my head, I start pacing around. Or a big one was me, I'd have a pencil and start tapping it. And it's just, if you notice it early enough, then you can get out of it, can't you? But if you don't notice it and you get too much in it, then you're stuck in it, and you just have to just ride it out, really, sometimes. Because the more you try, the more it makes it happen, and the longer it lasts, I found, really. And it's just, then you just, more and more resistance is adding the fuel to the fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Lori, that's like your description of the hamster wheel.
yeah, or spinning your wheels in mud, right?
Yep.
Trying to get out, and you're just digging yourself deeper. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing I saw the other day. It's like the law of friction, isn't it? When you've got a ball and you roll it down a hill, if you keep pushing the ball to keep going, but you let it go, eventually the friction will slow it down and stop it. And the mind's like that. If we keep focusing on what our mind's doing and focusing on the suffering or the noise, then we're keeping pushing the ball all the time, aren't we? Whereas, I mean, even we can just go for a walk or anything that gets us more connected, or anything we enjoy doing, we're taking a hand off that ball and just letting the mind or divine mind slow us back down. And for me, it's just trusting in it, really, that it'll slow you down, that I don't have to do it, it'll do it for me. And
Right. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but the more I thought that there was value in digging into my negative story, trying to figure it out or do something with it, the further away I was from my innate health. And I mean, that's what's so prevalent in the world, digging into your own negativity. And then we wonder why the world is in such a shambles. I love that Syd talked about that the world is a mess. And now this was done in 2008.
Yep.
And he said it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the more I talk about it, the more I make it real, isn't it? Your problem, the more I talk about my problem, the more it makes it real. And I found that even like sometimes I'll go to groups or the heartfelt, or I'll go to, I'm in like a little group with one of Syd Banks' students, Harry Dubitsky, and some people, and I'll think I'm going to go and talk about my problems, and I have this problem I want to talk about, and then we just talk about the spiritual reality and the feelings and the problems. I even forget about it, and then afterwards I think, oh yeah, I was going to talk about that problem. I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's so true. The more we talk about our problems, the more real they appear. Yep. That is so true. I mean, that's such a simple statement, but look at how profound that is.
Yeah. And the sad part with that, Lori, is what everybody, there's such a large population that feels that they're victims today. And as you say, if you feel you're a victim and you keep perpetuating that, you're in a death spiral at that point. Well, emotionally, and hopefully it doesn't go any further than that. And that could lead to despair, and why people commit suicide.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what Syd meant when he was referring to the way people use these three amazing divine gifts. We can use it to hang ourselves, literally or figuratively. But you're right, Tom, about, or was it Alan who talked about using the principles almost sounds like there's something to do. Observing, I don't know, what word would you use in place of using that would?
Allowing, I would use allowing them.
Say that again,
Allowing,
Joe?
allowing. I would say
Allowing,
allowing the principles, yeah, not
Yeah, yeah, understanding is a good word too.
understanding, yeah,
If you understand what's going on or
Yeah.
something, it's different. I was thinking today about the example of 100 years or so or more ago, when they were making the very first films, where they learned how to make film. And there's this famous, I think they filmed it, or maybe I saw a reenactment of it, where they show it to people for the first time. They've never seen a film, and they're in a movie theater or someplace, and it's a film of a train coming right at them. Have you ever seen this? And they don't know
no,
what it is, and they freak
I've
out.
seen it, yes.
Yeah, they freak out because but once you understand it's a film,
oh,
it still you might feel something, but you're not going to freak out in the same way. That's the
Yeah.
same thing with when we understand that what's going on has something to do with our understanding of our thoughts. Then
oh, I love that.
it becomes less real. We just see it differently, so we understand, and we have a different experience. So that's
Oh,
what I feel. Like my
Yeah.
mind, the things my mind dreams up is a lot like that film.
mm,
And when I realize I'm making it up versus when I don't realize I'm making it up, I have a different experience. Isn't that great?
I love that. Yeah, I really love that.
but it's innocence as well. We do it in innocence, don't we? Because we just don't
Totally.
realise. And
Yeah, we don't know.
I know I went into full-blown paranoia last year, where I thought the government was after me, and I just made all these crazy stories up. And at the time, it just seemed so real to me. I just didn't even realise the mind just latched onto it. And I look back now, and the story seems so mundane and silly. But it just starts with one thought, and you buy into that thought, and then it'll generate another one and another one, and then your mind starts searching back over your past and linking all these irrelevant events together, and then creating a story out of that. And it's that, isn't it? You can see when people how scary it would actually be when they're in that reality they've created, and it's a scary reality that they do lash out
Yeah.
and do these things,
Yeah.
don't they? Because to them it seems perfectly logical when they're in that state, what they do.
Right.
And it's,
Yeah.
I use a true story of when I try to describe the principles, and this follows up on Tom's aspect of watching the train come. September 11th, 2001. My brother's brother-in-law was an attorney with the Port Authority in one of the World Trade buildings. First building got hit. Their building swayed as it's supposed to from that. And they said, nope, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. And when their building got hit, luckily the plane hit above their office. And now I forget if it was on the 60th or 36th floor, but the plane hit above that. So, everybody's out. Now, the first people out are like, oh my God, I'm safe. I'm not going to die. Okay. You're seeing people jumping out of buildings next to you because that's their last act of life. And, instead of being burned to death. And, they're like, oh, so thankful. I'm going home. I'm going to see my kids. I'm going to see my spouse. Oh, the wedding's coming up. I'm going to make that. Now, the brother-in-law, Stephen, he had those same thoughts, he said. But then he had an extra thought. Let me count and make sure everybody made it out. He realizes one person didn't make it out. He goes back in, goes back up the stairs, finds that person frozen in fear under her desk, drags her out, gets down. 10 minutes later, the building comes down.
Oh,
Wow.
That's a true story.
Mm.
But
Wow.
three people, the same experience, three different thought patterns.
Yeah,
And that woman is alive because Stephen had the thought, from into that's the wisdom coming forward and saying, wow, let me do this, because he just had a feeling something wasn't right. And if he hesitated, they're both dead.
Mm.
It's just one of those things that it's just like, yeah, that's the three principles and the different type of thinking and wisdom bubbling forward that can help people.
well, we're like always one thought away from life or death
Mm.
Hmm.
in
Or
one
mental health or
regard or
mental illness,
another.
isn't it? Or
What's
mental
that,
health
Joe?
or I said, or mental health or mental illness, aren't we? One thought away.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right.
It's just to me, when you're stuck in them busy thoughts, or it's like you're walking through fog, isn't it, really? And if you walk through fog, you don't see anything. But if your mind quietens, then you see the beauty of everything. And to me, there was a consciousness of just how quiet your mind is, isn't it, really? Because when your mind's busy all the time, you can't see anything other than that noise in your head. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's like saying, like fog just goes away on its own, doesn't it, eventually? And then the sun comes out, and eventually your mind burns itself out if you don't keep adding to it, because you add to it and put meaning on it. When you get, oh no, my mind's busy, what does this mean? This means I've lost the principles, this means I'm ill again, this means I've gone back to who I was. And you're adding more and more to it then, aren't you? Rather than just seeing that, okay, everybody goes up and down, and I've gone down again, so there's no more meaning to it than that.
Right.
Just for a little while, just take a step back and just wait. And yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, George Pransky talks about actually practicing recognizing those negative thoughts. Those on one of those tapes you had me transfer, Lori. And it's if you can start to catch those thoughts early on and let them go. As Jack says, you're on that train of thought, and you can get off anytime you want. Or Jack Pransky says that. And George is saying, practice it. And if you can start doing that, that's a marvelous way to keep centered and to be in the moment and not going off on that train of thought.
You just remind me, like when I was younger, before the principles, I used to think, well, I'll just think this thought once more. If I just think it once more, it'd be okay. And then I think, okay, I'll think it once more, and then I'll try and work it out this time. And then do that. And it's never the obvious, is it? The most obvious thing is just to let it go.
Yeah.
right, right, right.
But that's what we do, don't we? It's the same as simplicity. We never go to the simple. We always have to go to the complex, and it's
Right.
what the human mind does, really. It always goes to the complex solution instead of the simple solutions. We seem to love to do that, but
and the best way to practice that is read the comments on Facebook.
yeah.
Because they're gonna get
Letting go.
when you can practice letting that go.
It looks like you're wanting to say something, Tom.
No, I think unfortunately I have to get going, but I've loved this conversation. Lori, thank you so much
Yeah,
for bringing us together and sharing the Syd in this new way. And
yeah,
it was really wonderful. Thank you.
yeah. Well, thank you all for joining me. It's fun to have a watch party and watch
Yeah.
it with other people.
Well,
Yeah,
apparently there are more videos coming.
yeah. You heard Shane say that, like a total of 10.
Yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, at the UK conference, they showed a talk of his a few years earlier. And
West Virginia it was.
Yeah, West Virginia.
yeah.
And they took it down. They just showed it for the conference. And it was really wonderful. So I'm looking forward to seeing that at some point.
Oh, that's not this one. I thought that was this
it was
one.
the talk he gave to doctors at West Virginia University.
Oh,
Because they started
nice.
that little institute thing, didn't they, with Dr. Pettit and Judith Sedgman?
Yep.
I think that was the talk he did
Yep.
at West Virginia University.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a great talk.
Nice.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, well, we'll have to have more watch
Yeah, there'll be
parties
more.
as they come out,
More.
right? This is a lot of fun. Now that I know how to do it, thank you, Karen. Azul had showed that to me like an hour ago. There's this little tiny box, and when she showed me, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Include volume, but boing, it just went right out of my mind. So thank
Okay.
you. You saved the day.
I'll send you the link to, I'll send you a picture of what you need to do.
Yeah, I think I'll remember it now. You know, when you get embarrassed, it kind of drills it into your head, right?
When everyone's watching and you're recording. You have a good one. I have to run.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
everybody.
too,
Thank you, everyone.
everybody.
All
Bye.
right.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
All right. Nice meeting you all.
Yeah, great to see you, Kevin. I'm glad that you,
Yep,
oh, I'm
yep.
gonna stop the recording.